so elegant. Go all the way down.
Why?
Go all the way down. Yes.
So you're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. In the middle of the mountains, in a pool, in Sicily.
It's so cold.
Well, let me recap this for you. First it was my parents. And some years later, I was born. And 4.5 years after, my sister. And as you might know, then I met Morten, and my sister met Lucas. And that's pretty much it. So welcome to a family trip to Sicily. Sicily was a lot. It was chaotic, busy, and maybe not the most organized place. But it was also beautiful, charming, and welcoming. Food was amazing, of course, and we tried many dishes and pastries, but most important, we did not end up in a fight.
Be sure to look at the menu to see what we offer, don't miss our deals and specials.
Our first day in Sicily was long. Very long. We took an early flight to avoid a layover, but landed in Sicily at 10 a.m. We were in an unknown city, and where we would have thrived before, this time around we just wanted the day to be over so we could get some rest. But despite that and the fact that we were carrying our heavily packed backpacks and suitcase, we tried to make the best out of our only day in Catania. We went from coffee place to coffee place, and there were some hits and misses on the way, but this bookstore/cafe was the biggest hit. Quiet, cozy, colorful, and inspiring. We spent a good amount of time honestly just being creative, talking and browsing the books and crafts of the store. We also stumbled upon this really nice university with the craziest design of a study space I've seen, where the desks were facing this beautiful courtyard. This is super cool, that you have all these areas to study. And as the sun was setting, we got a glimpse of Etna, and by this time we weren't alone anymore. My parents and sister had landed to join us with the minivan. So that did release us from one of our issues, which was the backpacks. But still, we had a few more hours to go.
Es que mira això. Ens hem flipat. Point of view.
And we strolled until dinner time. And even though we just wanted to grab something quick before we headed back to the airport again, we ended up in a local place with a fixed menu and, oh god, that was a lot of food. We literally had leftovers for the next 3 days. But finally, we picked Lucas up and we headed away from Catania to our home for the next 3 nights. After a good night's sleep, everything felt nice and quiet as we woke up surrounded by mountains.
Follow through, take your time. You move like water and taste like wine. You're holier than I am.
We took a slow morning and had lunch at the house. Again, leftovers from the day before.
Gentle hands, golden eyes. I am a man made of borrowed time. You're holier than I am. Holier than I am. I am the dust. You are the rain.
And then we took a stroll in the nearest town. We got to see some pretty streets, stores, and even ended up in a village nearby that was celebrating some kind of religious festivity where literally the whole town was involved. Pretty random, I would say.
As you pull me in, I'll push away. Afraid I will let you down one day.
There was honestly not much around where we were staying, just some small villages within a 20 minutes car ride. And that's how we found a small cafe that became our go-to breakfast spot for the next days. The woman working there was the sweetest. But after a good breakfast, it was time to jump on the minivan again and head to Palermo. This church was amazing. It was beautiful, and we ended up just gossiping over a wedding that was just about to take place in there. And as gossip queens that we are, we had to wait to see the bride.
Salada? Oh, with salt on top. You're gonna be on TikTok now.
Diventano bianche.
Diventano bianche.
Sì, praticamente il sale gli dà la colorazione nella buccia, va bene? Quindi lo fa diventare. Sì, fa il fumo, diventa bianco.
Noi la mangiamo senza sale.
But that wouldn't be all. We had to enjoy such a beautiful house, and even though we booked it hoping for good weather, the pool needed to be used. Even if it was 15 degrees outside.
So elegant. Yes.
It's not that bad once you're in.
Okay, let's see some swimming.
No way.
Yes.
No, because I don't want to get my hair wet and I'm wearing sunglasses.
You don't need to get your hair wet.
I'm not gonna swim. I
Go on, you
just
can
want a
do
cool angle for the YouTube video. I need to swim. Okay.
You're gonna swim? Oh my god.
It's so cold.
I must admit that traveling with family is something I had not done in many years, probably since before I moved away. The last trip I recall with my parents and sister was probably back in 2016. And even though we spent lots of time together at home, or even a couple of years ago when we rented a summer house for a few days, nothing compares to being in a foreign country for a whole week, with one car, or in our case a minivan, having to spend 24/7 together. But I have to say that after spending a whole day chilling and spending time together at home, felt nothing short of cozy and amazing. On our 5th day in Sicily, it was time to say goodbye to this beautiful house to head to our next location. But before that, we took a little side trip to Cefalù, this beautiful coastal town where we just wandered around the streets, browsed a lot of shops, and had some amazing food by the sea.
Mangiamo?
Here,
Ale.
here.
But then again, it was time to leave sunny Cefalù behind and head to the mountains to find the cozy little cabin at the base of Mount Etna that would be our home for our last days in Sicily.
Hi ha molta vegetació per ser un volcà. Hi ha pujat i...
The next stop in our trip was absolutely worth it and probably the most touristy thing we did. But it ended up being this beautiful landscape with a mix of clouds and dark volcano stones. And yes, we were going up to Mount Etna.
Estem a punt per baixar?
Tant.
We went on a little guided excursion to the highest point you can go, and it was pretty amazing.
What's that?
Souvenir.
Are we ready? Look at this.
Non so dove è.
Andremo lì e non dobbiamo mirar. She told us it was olive.
Sono dos, los dos son champiñones.
After the coziest afternoon we could hope for, we picked up chestnuts that had fallen down from the trees around the area, and we grilled them together with dinner. And then, well, the weather followed the cabin vibes, and we woke up to a very rainy morning the day after. But that did not stop us because we still had one more city to visit, and that was Syracuse. But to be honest, I didn't end up filming much there because it was beautiful, but we just had a stroll around the streets, had some really nice lunch, and headed back to the cabin for our last afternoon together. As sadly, it was more than a nice last day in Sicily. The next morning, we headed back to the airport to fly back home to Copenhagen.